fantasies, so that the subjective world in which we're existing, the world of physics, medicine, the world of space, and the world of tablets will become broader in order to imagine a person, a human being, living comfortably in this new world, to imagine a person that is more interested in space exploration rather than a brand new tablet or a thinner tablet. Investments in human capital, investments into new ways of perception, in transformation of consciousness. I think that would be the thrust of technological development in the future. For the time being, technologies, we need them to reduce the amount of time a person spends on this or that physical labor, so labor automation, the freeing up of human time. I think it's more simple than developing humans, human beings, and my colleagues can speak more about it. I think that any modern-day computer is a lot more simpler than a human brain. It's a lot easier to develop such technologies rather than to program and develop software for human brain. But I think that using the capabilities of a human brain as its computational capabilities and capabilities for fantasy making will be used in the future. I agree with you, and Michio is right that whatever's happening to us, it was already made up long time ago. So we created robots. We first thought about robots, android robots. They've become a reality. I know people who are designing such robots, engineering such robots, and they told me that in 30, 50 years from now, they'll be performing all functions better than human beings. Not only, repetitive functions, they will be better at drawing up paintings, writing music. So the things which human beings believed were the realm of human intelligence or human soul, no, they're saying that robots will be better at all these occupations. What would happen to human beings in that case? What would be, well, the most important thing is that to prevent robots from making wilder fantasies than human beings. They will start making wilder fantasies. Well, in that case, they will become people. In Japan, they have toys or puppets. They become human partners. So, well, but those toys, they don't have imagination. Well, now they don't have imagination, but I think by 2100 they will have some imaginative powers. It will be a completely different dialogue. Imagine two toys, two puppets with imagination capabilities meeting. Imagine their conversation. So I think those will win who can create something new, who can imagine something new. And to, in answer to my colleague Plato, I would like to bring up Plato's ideas, his Adas, the quantification of ideas. So those people who will be creating ideas, those will be creating robots, partners. No matter whether it's bioengineering or some other physics, well, as creators of robots, we think that we will always be will be in control. Because who knows that one day those robots will wake up and say, "Why do we need you, people?" So I think the ones who imagine, who make them, will control them. Dmitry, are you sure that we'll be able to imagine something? It's not a fact for me that we're imagining something. I think everything has already been imagined before. We're just relaying whatever was imagined. Well, let's again substitute the word imagining with the word studying others' imaginations or imaginary images. It would still require investments. I'm not talking about financial investments. I'm talking about total investments. So at some point in time, humanity would reach the bifurcation point when it would have a chance to come up with something of its own. Well, there is a concept, and I think our dear colleagues are aware of that, Akasha Chronicles. And in those Akasha Chronicles, everything we think we came up with, it was already written, it was already created. So everything we can think of has already been created. And I think our technological development paradigm is akin to reading those imaginations and studying them. Well, if robots will replace humans, some people say it will be paradise, we'll have tons of spare time, we'll be self-improving, robots will be doing everything for us. Well, the Americans believe that it would lead to degradation of humans because they would lose the sight, they would lose the targets, the objectives for further improvement. Well, it's a question of whether humans would be able to imagine or create new space for itself. What my colleagues were talking about, basically the main idea is whether new ideas, they would create new ideas. Dmitry was talking about 600 years. And if somebody lives for 600 years, people would have to come up with something for 500 years because they will become tired. Now, when people live for 75 years, imagine they would need to fill their, 500 years more. So 6 times, 6 times more ideas, 6 times more content for life. The more time we have on our hands, a person who works at a plant 16 hours, as was at the end of the 19th century, 16 hours a day, had 1 hour of his personal time. The modern day man has, works for 8 hours, so he has more time, more personal time. So we're talking about life in perceptions, life felt. So these abilities have increased twofold. Now we know people who are having very varied life, and they're not engaged in mechanical labor. They're not degrading, and that gives them twice as much time compared to those people who spend 8 hours every day doing some mechanical things. So, and they're spending more time to make their lives more interesting and to make lives of people around more interesting. I think that's for the first time, humanity finds itself in a situation when it has a lot of spare time, and people can compete for their spare time, and now people can come up with all different ideas on how to fill up that spare time. And those people who can succeed in doing that, they will pass this route physically, chemically. And other people who are not in the position to do that, who fail to do that, they will end up flipping burgers for the rest of their lives. Thank you, Dmitry. I'm going to ask what's going to happen to TV, but Mr. Kaku has a statement. Or
really quick. Really quick, I think that the tipping point as to when robots become dangerous is when they have self-awareness, perhaps by the end of the century. Right now, our most advanced robots have the intelligence of a cockroach, a retarded cockroach, a lobotomized retarded cockroach. But eventually, our robots will become as smart as a mouse, then as smart as a rat, then a rabbit, then a dog and a cat, and by the end of the century, perhaps as smart as a monkey. At that point, they are potentially dangerous. Monkeys know they are monkeys. Monkeys know they are not human. Now, dogs are confused. Dogs don't know that we are not a dog. Dogs think that we are a dog, and therefore they obey us. We're the top dog, they're the underdog. So I think at that point, 100 years from now, at the end of the century, we should put a chip in their brain to shut them off if they have murderous thoughts. That is a fail-safe mechanism. But that's only temporary. Because then what happens when robots become so smart, they remove the fail-safe system. That is also possible in the next century, the 22nd century. At that point, I think we should merge with them. I don't think this will happen in this century, but I think in the next century, we should merge with our creation. Why not become Homo superior? Why not use exoskeleton